Hey guys, so this is probably my first sit down video on this channel in a long time, but I decided that this week would be a good week to do that. So today's video, I thought I would talk to you guys about my sorority experience, my rush experience, because I know that a lot of people right now are going to college, or even if they're already in college, rush season is coming up for at least the schools I know are south. I feel like there's a lot of things that I didn't know when I was going into rush, because originally I wasn't even planning on even rushing. Also, like, whatever I say in this, I'm not saying that what I'm saying is going to be the experience for everybody else. I'm just sharing my experience with it and things I dealt with. It's not meaning that it's going to happen to you. It's just my luck with things. I did join a top house sorority at UCF and I did drop fairly quickly. And I don't think it was a surprise to some people. So at UCF, we had to move in like a week early. Before any actually meeting houses or anything like that, they do an orientation. Basically, you have a row gamma, which is the person that's guiding your group, because they split you into different sections. With the row gammas, every single row gamma is in a sorority, but you cannot know which sorority they're in. So they will literally go through depths to hide it from you. They'll put their Instagram on private, put a profile picture that's not their face. Their sororities have to cover their pictures. They have to get rid of them on their socials. There's like a whole schmeal. I found out what my row gamma was in just because like it was an accident on TikTok. There was this lady that went on stage, gave like a motivational speech. They made it seem like very genuine. And I'm sure for a lot of people like their experience was, but my experience just wasn't like that. So now in hindsight, when I look back at that, I was like, were they just trying to like make it seem different? Of course, my cat's in the most playful mood like right now of all times. Okay, all right. So at UCF, we have UCF day 1 and day 2, which is basically all you have to wear is this Panhellenic shirt that they give you, and then any choice of pants that you want. So at UCF, there are 12 sorority houses. UCF day 1 is going to be 6 houses that you meet. UCF day 2 is going to be the other 6 houses that you didn't meet on day 1. Day 1 and 2 are going to be the most superficial. It's when you're first meeting the houses. You probably have like 15 minutes going in there, and it feels like you have to sell yourself. But I guess like that makes sense. But what we don't know when we go in is it's not random pairing. So you walk in, and as you're walking in, someone like from the sorority grabs you and they start talking to you. That person did not randomly pick you. They like do this whole process where they like match up things that you might have in common with that person to have like better conversation, I guess, which is honestly kind of smart. So they do that, they grab you, they start talking to you, kind of like, oh, like, what's your name, where are you from, what are your values, and all of that. And then after that day, you have to rank which was your top, which was your like least favorite, and then they have to do the same thing about you. And if they don't want you, they'll drop you. But if you don't want a sorority house, you still have to go and see them again, even if you don't want to, if they chose not to drop you. So if you don't like a house, just pray that they didn't want you either, because you'd have to deal with them again. And that was something that I found pretty like unfair and annoying and kind of like a waste of time, because the whole process was so draining. The one thing that really sucked about rush during the summer was the heat. It was actually insane. They put us under these tents. The first day, the electricity randomly went out right before meeting the first house, so we were just dying in the heat for like a solid 20 minutes. I was lucky enough to get all of the houses I wanted back, but that's also kind of annoying too, because then you have to stay there longer. But I felt bad these days because there were people that didn't get back, let's say, all the houses, which is honestly a slay if you didn't like them, or they didn't get back houses that they did want. And it sucks because it's like those people only had like 15 minutes to get to know you, but also it's a little bit superficial. So they're like, oh, if they don't have the look that I want. And also it's not the whole sorority that's choosing you or not. It's the person that you talk to. Imagine talking to 6 houses for 25 minutes in one day, in a short, one after the other. Like, it is so socially draining. But some people actually found it fun. It was fun in the moment if you like got rid of the heat and the having to chant the songs. But the 3rd day of rush was philanthropy day. Let's say I went to Kappa Delta, and Kappa Delta's thing is they dance for raising money for a charity. They talk to you about their philanthropy, they talk to you a little bit more, and that's kind of it. Every day that progresses, the talking gets longer. Every single day you need to keep dropping houses. Houses have to keep dropping you. The 4th day was sisterhood day, and you would be with the houses for 45 minutes, kind of get a feel a little bit more of the houses. And then the last day was preference day. So basically I think, oh my god, what was it, 2 houses? I think it was 2. Can you tell how like this is a blur for me? I'm pretty sure pref day was 2 houses. So preference day is basically the last 2 houses narrow down if you're lucky enough to get 2. If you had 1, then you just go to the 1 house. They would just kind of talk to you about more emotional, deeper things. They'll tell you stories about like their sisterhood. I went to Pi-Phi and Zeta. It's so crazy too how this day everyone seems so insanely close, like out of the people that are already in the sororities. They're crying about like these stories. There's like this vibe. They were talking about, oh, like what brought them close and things like that. I remember afterwards when I was in the sorority, I was like, wait, like these girls aren't giving that energy. Like they don't seem that close. But we'll get to that part. The next day is bid day, and that's when you find out what house you actually did get back. Bid day, I actually did have a lot of fun. The house that I put as #1 was Zeta. My best friend Madison is in Zeta, so I already like knew more about it. And I just liked the vibe. Some of these houses, like some of the girls were kind of like rude. So not everybody's meant to recruit, but everyone was forced to recruit. So I guess that's fair enough. Like maybe some people weren't feeling it and they were forced to do it. My 2 favorite houses during Rush had to be KD, which is Kappa Delta, and Zeta, but I didn't get KD back, and in hindsight I'm really glad because of things that I saw afterwards, but I'm pretty sure it's because there was bid promising. All of the girls that I spoke to I loved. Like they were so sweet, like so down to earth. I would talk to them and forget I was even doing Rush, and that's when you can tell that like you're vibing with them. And I remember I saw one of the girls after the whole like recruitment stuff happened and we were talking, she was like, oh my god, I was so surprised when you didn't get in, like I loved you, this and that. So I think there was bid promising. Basically bid promising is when you go and you talk to a sorority during Rush, if the girl you're talking to says anything where it's like, oh, like I can't wait to see you again, or oh, like I'll see you soon, anything that sounds like you got the part, like let's say like you got in, if anybody hears that, Rho Gamma, girl in the house, whatever, they need to report it and they automatically need to drop you. Make that make sense. Like imagine someone's so excited, they're like, oh my god, I can't wait to see you again, and boom, like just because they were excited, they have to drop you. For bid day, we all had to go to the gym at UCF. We sat in the groups with our Rho Gammas. We had our envelopes in our hand, and then we finally saw what our sorority was. Some people were excited about it, some people not so much. My bid day buddy was Madison, so I was so excited. We were given these pink tops. Bid day felt like there was like more of a sense of community. I feel like this whole Rush process, there's like this high in your mind where you're like, oh my god, like my new sisters, like this and that, and then after being in it, it's like the novelty like wears off. At first they treat the new girls like something special, and then like a little bit in, and then it's like they forget completely. We all went to the house. They had this nice car to take pictures. They had like this ball pit to like hang out in. That's like one fond memory that I really do have of Zeta that I liked. But things just started to change. So to the actual in sorority kind of experience. So some details about Zeta. I don't know if it was #1 or #2 when I joined it, but KD and Zeta were on top. All houses are special in their own ways. It doesn't matter which one you're in, as long as you feel at home and close with them, that should be a #1 house to you. So it doesn't matter. The rank really is irrelevant. It's all about like social perceptions, and it's dumb. When it comes to pricing, usually the top houses are pricier. Zeta was $2,500 first semester. What the fuck? What first semester? And then it was $2,000 every other semester. So the first one is $500 more. Why? Beats me. They probably like say for getting you new shirts and stuff, like who knows. They really didn't give that much, and I'm pretty sure the shirts were from Shein. But anyway, don't get me wrong, I still do cherish memories I have while I was in Zeta, but I also see so many more things that like made me want to leave when I think back to it. But I do love some of the girls that are in there. They're very sweet. It's just like my experience just kind of made me like feel like leaving. It wasn't worth the $2,000 a semester, sorry. Sorry. I was very excited, very open-minded when I went into the sorority, because at the end of the day, like I wanted to enjoy it at UCF. There really wasn't much to do, so I was excited to like join a sorority, make new friends. That was the main reason why I rushed. I wanted to make friends because at UCF, the school's so big that when you go to classes, you're not really gonna make friends from there. You're hardly gonna see them more than once. So I was like, okay, like I'm gonna make so many girlfriends. I'm gonna like have fun things to do, whatever. And unfortunately, that wasn't my case. Basically, there's chapter every Sunday, which is just a meeting to talk about updates in the sorority. That stuff was annoying. And also, I loved skipping chapter because I actually had things to do with my life that weren't to listen to this stuff. Nobody enjoyed going to chapter. Nobody. But some people would be more nervous to miss it because you get fined for not going, which is also really bizarre to me. And they would make it seem so much more serious than it really was. Not everyone. I remember when I went to UCF, before actually becoming a student there, I was going downtown and there was this girl and she was like, oh, like, are you joining a sorority? And I was like, I don't think so. And she was like, well, if you don't join a sorority, you're not gonna be anybody. And I remember hearing her and being like, girl, are you okay? Come on now. So if you ever think something like that, I promise you that's literally not it. And if someone said that to you, they have their own personal issues if that's what they see like the world as. So there's that. My PC, I didn't have a good experience with. I don't know what it was. My friend even said to me that like when her PC started, they weren't the way mine was. So I'm like, okay, maybe like it's just bad luck. Honestly, like PC is pledge class, by the way. So like the group of people that I went in with is a PC. My PC just didn't seem to be the vibe. They were more cliquey. They were more superficial. They let things go to their head. And so I usually gravitated towards the older girls. Also, since my friend knew the older girls, like it was easier to meet them. But I love some of those girls. Like some of those girls, I'm like, okay, like you are a queen. But unfortunately, those weren't the ones in my PC. When you're new to a sorority, you have to deal with your PC usually more than anyone else because you have to do the chapters together and like certain things, whatever. One thing that they did say is when you join a sorority, you get back what you put in. So basically if you go to the house more, you should be like receiving more friends from it and this and that. And I wasn't constantly there because I had other things to do, but I would try to make an effort to go when there was like meal plan to meet people because during rush, that's what they said to do. Try to do stuff like that. My roommate was in it, so I thought like maybe we'd meet people together, and that just wasn't the case. But in my sorority, something that even the older girls had, like they literally discussed it to us during one of the things because it was an issue, like they said it. There were cliques in my PC and it was stupid as fuck. The whole thing with sororities is like to all be close, to all be there for each other. Like they gave that speech 5 million times, but for some reason the PC would act like they got it and then they wouldn't. And they just weren't the most welcoming with certain things. I don't know what it was. But I was trying to become friendly with these girls. You know when you can just tell the vibe when someone's just not gonna let you in? Like when a group's just like, I'm not gonna force anybody to like hang out with me. Like I would rather not. Whenever I'd get that vibe, I'd just go hang out with Madison. There was one day, this was like one of the things that literally made me think to myself, like I wanna get out of here. Like I kinda need to drop because I was not paying $2,000 a semester to be dealing with like not having close relationships with these girls. And I know that it takes time with certain sororities, but it was just like the way it was like instantly like not letting me in. There was this one time I went to meal plan and I was so excited to go and like sit with the girls. Usually for meal plan you all like sit in the dining hall. But there was this one time I saw everybody and they were sitting at like this couch. I was like, oh my god, like okay. Like I went to go get my food and then I saw familiar faces. They were all like talking like super whatever. Like before getting there, I sit on the couch or like on the floor, put my food on the table because the couch was full, and I sit there and then like it just got like more like quiet, and then they get up and leave. It was a big coincidence that like the timing was like that, and I was honestly kind of hurt because some of those girls I did know, when they find a clique in the sorority, it's like their safe space, and God forbid they do anything against the clique. When I saw like this one person go with, I was like, damn, like really? Like I literally know you. So that kind of hurt. But it was just stuff like that with the cliques. It got tiring. So I would usually start to go and hang out with my friend. She lives in the house. So I would just go hang out with her, and I just kind of gave up on getting to know the girls in my PC. It was in that moment where I was like, Before I was like, oh, maybe I'm not making an effort. And so I went to go make the effort and that happened. I was like, you know what? The vibe's just not it. Also, one thing that they did say in chapter was to not let being a Zeta get to your head. They'd be like, oh, like we are a top house. Don't think that just because you're a Zeta that you're immune to things. Don't go out to bars with your merch on. Like don't go to bars being like, oh, well, I can do this because I'm a Zeta. Like they were very big about not doing that. But things that would stand out to me would be like the people that would do that in the PC because obviously they were new, and some people do go into sororities for the, what's it called? Like the rep. This is also, by the way, not going for everyone. Just like things that would, I'm just talking about things that would stand out. I'm not talking about like the majority of people. When you go to meal plan, it's most of the people in the sorority go, and you'll see girls and say hi in one instance. You'll see them another time, they'll completely ignore you. There was this one girl who I was talking to one day after chapter. Me and this girl had a similar name. I guess her mom heard my last name and was like, wait, is that Sophialarraz's daughter? Because like my mom's a singer, and I guess like the mom knew who my mom was, and the girl was telling me like that funny story, and I was like, oh my god, whatever. And we were just talking and I was like, oh, like this girl seems super chill. And later on, I see her like the next day, we look at each other. I was about to go say hi and she just like looked away, and I was like, god damn. I was like, nobody can say hi more than once. It just, that type of stuff just like twisted my brain in a different way. I was like, wait, so what's actually making friends and what's just being friendly to seem like, oh, like, but even then when you're being friendly, you can easily say hi to someone. This was just stuff I didn't understand. That would happen all the time. And my friend and I have always been saying it feels so fake. But another thing that happened when it came to like feeling cliquey, I saw some of the same girls, whatever, they were like dressed in like bathing suits. And I remember I said to one of the girls, I was like, oh my god, that looks so fun. Like, where are you guys going? Just to talk. Like, I wasn't trying to hang. I was literally just talking because we had talked like before. The next time I saw her was this interaction. And this girl goes, we're just like going to the beach. But like she said it in a way where it's like, does that make sense? You know, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And then later on I see that they in fact did not go to the beach, but they went to something where this girl was the one, I guess, hosting it, I'm pretty sure. And I guess she lied so that I wouldn't try to be like, oh, like, can I go? I was like, okay, like, God forbid I try to make convo. It's just like the way that there was an automatic them trying to block out anyone ever finding out, as if they were doing something so exclusive. One thing about some of the sorority girls, but it was just something that I couldn't relate to, so I couldn't like bond with them on this level, is that sometimes when you would talk to them, the only thing that would be coming out of their mouths would be things about guys. Like, you could sit down and try to like get to know this person personally, and you will be hearing about their boy problems. And that stuff would get kind of tiring because it would be like, no, I want to get to know you. There was this one girl that I thought gave very negative energy, and I remember saying something to my friend. I was like, I don't know, like, this girl kind of gives me negative vibes, or like not very genuine. Then later my friend came up to me after and she was like, you know, it's really funny because I had an interaction with this girl. I was like to her, oh, like, have you been? And the girl was like, oh, are you seeing anybody? That was like the first thing she asked me, and I was just kind of like, damn, like, let's just talk about our lives, like, it's not all about guys. And my friend said that, she was saying that to me, and I was like, oh. I told you. Maybe some people are honestly feeling the same way, where they're trying to get to know other people, and that's their way of thinking of trying to get to know each other. You never know. Some people might bond over that. I just can't. Okay, can this cat stop? Oh, also, something funny. So basically, Zeta has this thing called lip sync, and it's this dance, and it's like only the PCs that'll partake. It's for their philanthropy. They say it's mandatory. Nothing is mandatory. Also, if a sorority is telling you something's mandatory and you don't want to do it, it's actually not mandatory at all. Like, stop making them make you think something's more important than it really is. It's not that deep. It never is that deep. But basically they said the dance was mandatory. And I was like, me dancing on stage, I have things to do. I'm not gonna be practicing almost every night for a dance that I don't even want to do when I have work and school and this and that. My back problems, I was like, not for me. Like, I'm not built for it, nor do I have any passion in doing it. They did say that the dance was like a good way to get to know the girls, but I was like, there's literally other ways to do it. So I didn't go to dance practice one day because the first day, because I didn't even know that it was happening that day, because I never joined the group chat about the dance because I was never going to do the dance. And even during the rush process, I said to the girls, like, is it mandatory? And the girl was like, no. You aren't gonna fool me. No one was gonna make me do that damn dance. I didn't go because I was unaware. The dance teacher ended up texting me, and I said to her, I was like, oh, I'm not doing the dance. I was like, I have back problems. I have to be working. Like, I have school. Like, I was giving her all of these valid, not even excuses, valid reasons why I wasn't doing the dance. She was like, it isn't a mandatory event, so unless you have an excused like medical kind of thing or a trip planned way in advance and you have proof, you have to do it. Do you have any of the three? And then she never answered me. And that's fine, because I didn't have to do the dance. And I didn't get fined because I left before they could find me. So yeah, there was that when it came to the events. There was also a workshop that was 3 hours that I didn't want to go to because I wasn't feeling well, and I said something, they're like, oh, you're gonna get fined. For a 3-hour workshop? Can you guys just give me like, like an update on what happened? Like, I remember my friend was dealing with something really terrible, and she said that she couldn't make it to something, and they did not give any sympathy at all. And that type of stuff does not reflect the whole sorority, but that does reflect like certain attitude with their events over you. I decided to drop finally. I remember I was talking to my cousin about it, being like, look, I don't know if I should drop because I just feel like I'm not actually being able to meet people genuinely, and I just feel like they make certain things seem more important when like they won't be understanding if you can't make it to certain things. He was like, don't feel like they're pressuring you to stay. Initiation was coming up. We had to buy a pin for initiation, and the pin was $80. And I was like, you know how big that pin was? Probably this big. You know what you needed it for? You need it for nothing. Not a single thing. Just for initiation, put it on, boop, boop, there you go, done, $80. So I remember seeing that, and I was just doing the math in my head, and I was like, the value isn't matching. So that same day, I messaged whoever I had to message. I was like, look, I'm gonna have to drop. And it was just like that. I was just not in Zeta anymore. But yeah, so I left, and I do love some of the girls that I met there. I think some of those girls are super sweet. I didn't have the most amazing experience, unfortunately, when it came to being able to bond with my PC, which kind of sucks because I remember seeing other people be able to bond with them in other sororities, and I was like, damn. I wish I loved it. I really do. I do cherish things from Zeta, but it just wasn't it for me. It wasn't worth the money to me. It wasn't worth feeling excluded randomly. It wasn't worth feeling like meeting people and then all of a sudden them like ignoring your existence randomly. And my best friend was in it, so I could still go to the house. Just because you're not in it doesn't mean you can't go to the house and hang out. So I got up out of there. One thing that did suck was I remember when I left, it's not like I was excited to leave. I was like honestly kind of bummed because I had gone in with excitement. Basically every PC has a group chat. I kind of thought to myself, I was like, should I leave the group chat? Should I stay in it? Because I really do love like some of these girls. These girls are girls I still want to get to know, and just because I don't have the title of Zeta attached anymore, I shouldn't have to like not talk to these people anymore. I still wanted to get to know them. It was never the title of Zeta for me. So I remember being like, like should I stay in it? Should I leave? And this one girl, she said something where she was like, and I remember she said this and I was like, oh, like damn, like thank you so much for understanding. Like, she was like kind of laughing at it. She's like, well, you're not in Zeta anymore, so like you should like leave, like you're not part of it. Like, and I remember her saying that and being like, okay, so clearly to you don't like get, it's not about the name for me. It's still girls that were in my pledge class. Just because I decided to leave doesn't mean I wasn't part of it. Me not being in the main group chat that happens after initiation makes sense. And I remember this girl saying that and I was baffled. I was like, it was basically her being like, get out. You're not part of us anymore, leave. That was the energy she was giving me. Like, you're not one of us anymore, get out. So I just left and I wrote a message and I was like, thank you guys so much for everything. And some girls are sweet enough, they left a message like, oh, like we'll miss you and like this and that. And I'm like, where was that energy before? But it was sweet of them to say that. But I was just, and I never heard from them again. I left the sorority, I never heard from them again, even though they said they'll miss me and this and that. And it's crazy too, because at UCF, like UCF isn't the biggest on Greek life. For example, like Bama, that's like their personality there. I used to, if it wasn't as big, but they still managed to like make themselves feel like it had to do with rep. It's not every sorority. Maybe you join a sorority that wasn't meant for you. That was definitely my case. Maybe if I was in a different one, it would have gone better, but I really don't know. My roommate, for example, she's in a sorority. The girls that I met that she's friends with there are so great. Like, I love them. And I'm like, damn, where were you guys? I wish I could have met all of the girls when I was doing recruitment. I just don't know if like the Greek culture was for me with certain things. Like, I'll hang out, but I won't be in it, if that makes sense. I saw people joining sororities change the way they'd act. I saw it make people think that they were hot shit when they weren't. It was just stupid. And they also have this app called Greek Rank, which is basically like anonymous messages where they'll talk about drama and they'll be like, oh, like Zeta did this or Trial did this. And it was like everyone trying to tear each other down. I'm pretty sure the guys rank the houses by who they think is hot. So take it with a grain of salt. But it would be so funny because UCF is such a big school where it's like the people that aren't in Greek life could not give less of a fuck about like what you're in, like what it is. Like they couldn't care less. It's only the people in the Greek world that really care about that. So just know that if you don't join Greek life, that doesn't mean you're nobody. It just means you might be nobody to them. When at the end of the day, like who cares? There are great girls in every sorority, just like anywhere. Greek life, not Greek life, there's going to be great people that you mesh with super well, and there's going to be people that you don't mesh with as well. I just feel like when you're in a sorority, maybe the pressure of not liking someone hurts a little more or sucks more because it's like you're in the same group. It's like you want to be able to love everybody in your sorority. But that is my experience. I think if you want to rush, if you've been about rushing, if you want to do that, literally go for it because it could be the greatest thing for you. You could love all of the girls in your sorority house. You could have so much luck. You could love everything about it. And I could not. I hope that everybody has a better experience than I did. I hope everybody loves what they join. But this is just my story and I feel like it's fun to hear people's bad experiences instead of having them yourself. So here's me telling you my bad experience, hoping that you don't have to deal with it and maybe you could just have some fun in hearing the things I had to go through. One thing that I always said was, might as well try it, decide you don't like it and then leave, then like knock it before you try it. And also another thing, after Rush, there were certain sororities that I liked and then I saw that they were like kind of rude. And I remember being like, you guys didn't give this vibe during Rush. that was one thing that also bothered me, seeing how different they'll act during rush versus like how they actually are, just to like get people to come in. If you plan on joining a sorority, don't be easily swayed and just try to remember who your friends always were. Try your best not to change just because you joined a sorority, because I saw that happen so much and it was really sad. That was one thing. I was like, I'm not gonna change just so these people like me. So if you feel like you need to change just so someone can like you, that's not the spot for you. You can always join a different one. You can always not be in one if you're over it in general. Just make sure it doesn't change you for the worst, in the sense of thinking you're any better than anybody. Don't let strangers change your self-esteem. If a sorority drops you and you wanted that sorority, it wasn't meant to be, I promise you. I look back and I see how some of these girls acted. Maybe I have to remember, everybody doing this, it's their first time. Maybe one of the girls that were clickier to me or ruder to me, they could change. You never know. That's why I dropped a top sorority house at UCF. Also, if you're in a sorority and you're hearing something and you're getting offended, I was in a sorority, like it's not that serious. I think that's kind of gonna conclude for today. I hope that either this helped you get like a realistic perspective. Everything is gonna have a good side and a bad side. You know, I was just sharing my experience with it. But I hope that if you did already rush and you had a bad experience and you took it personally, I hope that this helped you see that it's not even about you. Everything happens for a reason. I'm glad I joined the sorority, gave it a shot. Wasn't for me, that's fine. I'm not even at UCF anymore, so it's not that serious. I hope for people that are rushing, don't think that just because I had a bad time that you will. I just think this was fun to share. If you can relate, then I hope you don't feel alone in that. And yeah, I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you guys want to hear anything else that's college related or anything else when it comes to advice, go subscribe, comment down below, let me know what it is. But I'll see you guys next week.